Good morning. Yes, it is Saturday. Oh joy, oh day of days. It is Saturday. And here we are in the parking lot once again. I was just thinking, shouldn't Saturdays, making people work on Saturdays be banned by the Geneva Convention or something? But, you know, it happens, unfortunately. Um, Here come the rest of the revelers starting to pour in. Ugh. Because I think we're the only ones that are going to be here today. Um, every other person out there on planet Earth is at home asleep. But we got to go in here and pour 9 hours of our lives away. And the sad part is, there's a lot of people out there who don't have a choice but to work all weekend. Now, I remember back in the day, I'm not, like I said, when I was delivering papers, on top of what else I was doing, I had to work literally 7 days a week because I was delivering. When you deliver papers for that particular thing, you're basically an independent contractor. 2:30 in the morning, I had to make a 20-some minute drive out to a depot. Get my papers, put them together, stick them in plastic bags, throw them in the back of a car, and then drive off. And I was doing this with an 83 LTD, which made the holiday paper really interesting because, well, you had, most of your route were people that got their paper, pretty much every, Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday, every day. But then you had people who only got weekends or only Sundays. So Sundays was always fun because there was a lot more papers and the paper was much thicker. Okay? We're talking, it's like, instead of a paper like, hang on, you can't see that because of it. Instead of a paper like this, then, you were getting a paper that fat because it had the comics, the ads and everything like that in it. Now, what's really interesting, though, is on the holidays, because every single person on your list got a holiday paper. Well, yeah, I used to do that. If there were people who specifically requested getting a paper, on their doorstep or whatever, I'd have to get out and deliver it. A matter of fact, one of the places I went to was an apartment building. So I'd have to throw a bunch of papers into a bag, and then I'd go into the apartment building, and I did it first. I'd walk that entire building all the way up to the penthouse. And then I'd have to come back down, catch a few more on the other side, and then I was done for the day. But then, like I said, now holiday papers, like I said, everybody on like Thanksgiving, Christmas, got a paper. And I literally one time, because of the weight of the papers, my bumper on my 83 LTD was like not even 6 inches off the ground until I was halfway done with the route. And that was a car that had massive springs on it. It's like, so yeah, it's like that was my olden days, back then. I just remember all the people who, I'd give them at least, we collected on a monthly basis. Some people paid bi-monthly, but like I said, I died laughing because you had people who didn't pay for their paper and get pissed at you when they see you go by and they didn't get one. I'm like, you didn't pay for it. It's like, why should I give you a paper if you're not going to pay me for it? Screw you. But meanwhile, here we are again. It's Saturday, and this parking lot is deader than disco. I'm going to die laughing if a whole lot of people called off. It's going to be hilarious. Because if they don't have enough people to run, I still get paid. I get sent home because I showed up. Oh, look, here comes security. No, they're going into the other lot first down there. Their flashing yellow lights frightened me into submission. I might have to scratch myself in fear. Also, I was working at another place. Oh God, World Color Direct. I was making an astounding $6.40 an hour. Sadly, and they put you through a 45-day temporary period, if I remember right. And sadly, the first time I went through, I got really, really sick. I'm talking could not get up sick. And it was back when we could barely afford to go to the doctor. Turns out I had walking pneumonia and I had to miss like 2 days of work. So they made me do another 45-day temporary period, which means, okay, I must have been doing a really good job on the day I was there. I know, I'm just kidding. Don't worry about it. I was a security guard for a time as well. Matter of fact, I remember, oh gosh, I was literally shot at one time. Not by choice. They weren't aiming at me. It was, I was watching a bank, and the reason why I was brought on as extra security was they set up a temporary shack in the back, of the bank so they could come in through the bus entrance. And what happened was they were doing construction on the main road, so everybody had to come in through the back entrance by the rapid transit, facility. So I was set up in a temporary shack. I literally brought in my own fans and things like that. In the morning, we had a radiator type heater that we had to plug in because it was really cold in the morning. And what happened was in the RTA parking lot, there was a prostitution sting. Oops, I said a word that's going to probably get me demonetized. And next thing you know, I'm sitting there, right? It was really cool because I had the stereo with the detachable speakers, and I used these little wire hanger bits, and I had the speakers rigged up, and so they were up in the corners of the booth. It was excellent, what do you call it? Acoustics because of that. And I'm looking over at the RTA parking lot. Let me stay on the story. Okay. Next thing you know, there's this minivan going by. No, it wasn't a minivan. It was it was an SUV. I remember it was like just an everyday SUV. And there's a cop literally hanging on the driver's side door. And from what I could see, he had wrapped his right hand around the steering wheel. And it turns out he was a softball, and I found out why. Next thing I know, I'm watching this cop who's literally hanging off the side of this van as it's trying to drive away. And suddenly, with his left hand, he pulls his pistol. This was a semi-automatic pistol. I never could see the type. I wasn't that close. And he is firing into the cab of the van, or the SUV, whatever it was, minivan. Turns out I found out later what had happened was it was a sting, and the person who was driving the van reached for a pistol that was sitting on the passenger side. They had like a wheel gun. I think it was like a 38 or something like that, and they were reaching for it with their other hand while they were fighting for the control of the wheel. Next thing I know, that van is literally, you can tell the person's foot had come off the gas, and it drifted right into like a Lincoln Navigator that was sitting in the parking lot. And here I am, I'm trying to phone, use the radio to call the central people, call the, head office, that's, I can't remember, literally about 1,000 feet away, because I'm out there in the back of nowhere. And the radio wasn't working properly. So I locked off the entrance, and I had to walk all the way back, because when the gunfire started, I heard the pop, pop, pop. The only thing I had was a plywood / refurbished wood shack and my 90-something Ford Escort to dodge by. Because I was like, okay, stray bullets, no, I'm not taking a shot at that. Because I'm only making $9 an hour. I'm not getting shot. But when it was all over, police had started taping off that entire area. They were not going to allow any traffic back there because it was now a crime scene. So I got to go home early that day, like 4 hours early, which was really nice because I was working 3 13-hour days and 1 5-hour day a week. So I was getting 44 hours a week at 9 something an hour. And that was the highest paying job I ever had till before I came in here. So trust me, if I pick on security, it's out of love, because guess what? I've been a security guard. And I wasn't even armed security. Shots going on. But I'll still never forget that skinny little cop hanging off the side of that minivan like he was trying to rob a moving stagecoach or something. All I know is this. Something weird's going on. Yeah, I was for about a year, and then I got my first call to come in for Ford. So that's why I left it. One of the greatest things that ever happened, though, was they let me do my 2 weeks so I could, I had suddenly got the call from Ford, and I said, look, I'll happily do this, because when they first called me in to do temporary work for Ford, I was only working Mondays and Fridays there. So I arranged it so I could finish out my 2 weeks, so they were covered, and I was going in on the days I wasn't working, for Ford as a 89-dayer at that point. But the World Color Direct job, like I said, they made me do another 45-day period, and of course there were mandatory Saturdays in there. One of the Saturdays I showed up, a friend of mine had tried to do my tires for me. I was literally dirt broke. He said, look, I'll put on those tires for you, just come by the garage. I get to work, I get out of the car, and 3 out of my 4 tires are halfway flat, and the other one's losing air. He had completely botched the job. And I ran in and said, look, if I go to work now and I don't deal with this, I'm going to be coming out of work to 4 flat tires. And I did not have a compressor or anything like that. I would have to have the car towed, which would basically, completely, deplete the idea of making any money for that day anyway. So, and they said, okay. And then sure enough, they made me work another 45-day period, but at the end of that, they had brought in a new guy over the department, and he was a total a-hole. And because of that one time, I had to take off, because if I had worked that day, I would have literally come out to 4 flat tires. And I did not have the money to have the car towed. I had no access to fix the flat, which means I would have to have walked into town, which was all the way in the middle of the night. Well, Oberlin was a pretty steady town. It wasn't like a huge crime area, but still, get Fix-A-Flat just to get the car home. And I'd have to take it to a gas station and fill the tires up after I've had to pay like 4 cans of Fix-A-Flat. And like I said, that's how, that ended up happening. Sure enough, I came to the end of 45 days again. They must have liked my work because they kept me around. And I was doing a pretty good job, I thought. But nope. This guy was in charge. He was a total a-hole, and I'm glad I got the hell out of there, because, it led me on to better paths. Well, folks, it is now 5:35, so I'm going to run on inside. Take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll hopefully see you all in the future. Remember, be kind, be calm, be safe, and if you've got to work Saturday, my heart's out there for you. Take care, everybody. Oops, I hit the wrong button.